Hey, this is Troy from Planet 76. We've got some really good Sixers-focused content coming your way today. Make sure you subscribe to the pod so you can be in the know when we release new content. Enjoy the show. All right, what's going on, Planet 76 fans, Sixers fans? This is Planet 76, episode 173. My name's Troy. Michael's here with me as always, and we got some fun stuff to do. Michael's shooting off the balloons, man. It's a good one. So
Oh,
we're gonna have fun today talking Sixers. If you are out of the loop on the Sixers, well, you might be in a better headspace than Michael and I both are. But the Sixers are on a crazy losing streak. The tank is officially on. It's been officially on for the last month at
hmm
least. And Sixers have lost eight straight, and three of their last 26 games have ended in a win, meaning they've lost 23 out of 26 coming in to this episode we're recording on April 1st. And that 3 and
Crazy.
23 record over the last 26 games is not an April Fool's joke. This is the real deal for the Sixers as of late. Um, and wherever you were at a month ago, if you were like myself, kind of thinking, well, you're only a couple games out of the playoff hunt, the Sixers are officially eliminated from playoff contention, and lots of guys obviously out, key stars out, role players out. There's been, I don't know if you saw that tweet a couple weeks ago, Michael. We didn't even talk about this, but it was like 96% of the Sixers payroll wasn't playing a few games ago, which if you do the math, I guess it adds up. Like that wasn't a joke. But anyway, Sixers are at where they're at, and I don't know if you know or if you're a Sixers listener right now, if you know all the details regarding the Sixers kind of, there's only a handful of games left in the regular season, their status regarding the lottery and what pick they might could end up with, or if they have to get rid of that pick, that kind of thing. I think it was like, is it top six that it's theirs? Is that right?
Yeah, if they land in the top six, the pick is theirs. But if it's seven or anything else,
It's the
they don't
Thunder,
get it. Yeah,
which explains the tank. I mean, we're right on that edge, right?
yeah. There, I think if the season ended today, I think they'd be well. They would have to actually get the fifth pick in the lottery, but they'd have the fifth best
Right,
odds.
right. Holy cow. Holy cow. So this is new territory. Well, old Sixers fans, if you've been around for a little bit, you know what this is like. But we haven't had this in a long time. It's a different experience for us. So anyway, today's episode 173. It's gonna be fun. He came up with a tremendous idea that I was like, you know what, we haven't had fun in a little bit as a Sixers podcast. So this will be a way of doing that with the way the Sixers season has gone. So Michael, why don't you tell the folks what we're about to get into tonight?
Yeah, I think there's going to be plenty of time to talk about the lottery and the draft because there's going to end up being about a month and a half, almost 2 months between the end of the season and the draft lottery. So that's not true. The draft lottery is when is the draft lottery? I have no
I'll have
idea.
to look.
See,
I'll have to
all
look.
these years of not paying
Yeah,
attention
you
to the
don't
draft,
know.
my team
Exactly.
hasn't been a part of it. I'm thinking it's beginning of June.
May 12th.
Oh wow. All right. Well, there's a month in between
Yep.
the end of the season for the Sixers and
Right.
the draft lottery. Excuse
Right.
me. So we can talk about that another time. But nonetheless, this episode is something that we've never done before, something that Troy and I agreed would be really fun. And if it takes the whole 35 minutes, so be it. We're cool with that because there's a lot to go into here. But we're gonna be reading comments from my Instagram comment section, something that I don't know how I've never thought of this before, and maybe it's just because my brain is so void of ideas of what to make of what's going on with this team. But I think this is gonna be fun. This is something we have never done before. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. It's Trust to Love, TrustTheluv. A lot of material for the show comes from there, and Troy and I also communicate on there and everything. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for a lot of Sixers stuff. So check me out on there. I haven't been posting as much as I would have liked to, but pretty much post daily. And this is going to be an assortment of comments from posts that I've made past few weeks, primarily the past week or so. I have some screenshotted, but I'm gonna go back into my Instagram and find more if we need more, which we probably will. We'll see.
I love it.
We're gonna start off kind of moderate here, and um, I'm gonna get Troy's live reaction because he has no idea what the comments are, and I haven't fully read a lot of them. I've just screenshotted them based on a couple words. So, without further ado, here we go. Reading comments from my Instagram
Let's
comment
go.
section. So the first question again is pretty moderate. Why wouldn't we trade Paul George? This was in reference to a post I made the other day about about things the
hmm
Sixers should not do this offseason. One of them I included was trading Paul George. I don't know how vocal I've been about that on this podcast. I'm not sure how much Troy and I have really talked about that. There's going to be plenty of time for that regardless. But one of the things I said is the Sixers should not trade Paul George, and one of the comments I got 12 likes, which for an Instagram comment is a decent amount. I mean, depending on how many followers you have. But on Sunday, a couple hours after I posted, was why wouldn't we trade Paul George? So my response was simply, why would we? And there were some replies. I didn't read them. I'm not going to,
hmm
but I want to kind of delve into that a little bit. Um, I'm gonna kick it back to Troy, and then I can give my thoughts as well if you're interested. So
Yeah,
why wouldn't we
absolutely.
trade Paul George? I I don't see the point, honestly.
Right. I think that's a good good first one to start with. I did see that post of yours. I didn't
Yes.
dive into the comments too much, but I saw that post and I agree with you. I agree with your stance on that, as we often do, because we're pretty rational, good, like-minded Sixers fans over here on
Right.
Planet 76. That's why we work well together. But Paul George, like this year is such an anomaly for everything related to the Sixers. And so I think that's why reason number one, because it wasn't a full look at Paul George. It wasn't a full look at Paul George as far as what he can do with the team as currently constructed. And it wasn't a fair shot for anybody. Like this is an anomaly of a season for any stat, any person, any unit that the Sixers were able to put together on the floor. So and based on the year that he had, obviously a trade in return, like you're not going to get what he would be worth. And that might be like fair because he hasn't played much this year and he hasn't performed particularly well or whatever, but like it's still Paul George. And if you go back to just last season, 365 years ago, he was ending a season with the Clippers where he had a very, very solid season, which is part of the reason he came to join Philly because of what he brought to the table just a year ago. So I think the word that I would say is just this season has been such an anomaly that you can't really take it into consideration.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think I don't know what you really get from trading Paul George. I mean,
hmm
sure, he's 35. Sure, the contract doesn't look that good right now because of his injuries and the way he played this year. But at the end of the day, we saw a healthy Paul George, which was in LA. And sure, that's approaching a year ago at this point. But regardless, we know the player we were getting with Paul
hmm
George, and that was the guy that was healthy, and that's what he looked like when he's healthy. The best way to know what a player can bring you is what they look like when they're healthy, and this applies to everybody, not just
Yeah.
Joel Embiid, every single player in this league. So I think the Sixers should give Paul George a shot next year to get a sample size of him healthy, 20, 30, 40 games, hopefully, if health permitting. I, and even if you trade him, what are you going to get for him?
hmm
Nobody wants Paul George in this league. Who's going to take on that contract? Who wants Paul George? Why would a team want Paul George? And even if they want him, you're not going to get value for him. You're not going to get adequate value for him. So
Yep.
dumping him off for a couple decent players, it doesn't help you. It doesn't do anything for you. Yeah, it gets off the contract, but if Paul George is playing the way he's supposed to, the contract is not really that bad. Especially because when you look at it, back last July, everybody loved the move. And the contract, nobody really batted an eye at the contract. Everybody was like, yeah, Paul George. Obviously, there was some concern about the back end of the deal, but as for the first few years, I don't think anybody really had a big of a problem with it. So I don't think it's necessary. I hope they don't trade him. And knowing the Sixers, I doubt they do. If I had all the money in the world, I'd say they don't trade him, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and to your point, I'll just touch on it real quick, like because it made me think of it. Whatever you just said was in
Yeah.
relation to Paul George in the first half of next season if he's healthy. Let's say he's healthy and he's playing well, but it's just not a fit for the Sixers or whatever. Then like
Right.
that would be the time to trade him because then you can still get something in return. As you just said, you're not going to get anything in return right now, so why do it? Um, and if he starts playing well, I do think it's going to be a fit. So I think by this point next year or by the trade deadline next year, it's not going to be a discussion because I think if he's playing well, it's going to work. So
Um, all right. Here is one of the craziest comments I've ever seen. Well, maybe not one of, but definitely a crazy comment. I'm not gonna out anybody, by the way. I'm not gonna say their username on here. I mean, not that it would matter anyway, because we get like six listeners. Um, Maxi is going to be a nice trade piece. I like the Grimes and McCain backcourt. Dump P. George and have a nice rebuild with hopefully healthy Embiid. So there's some there's some things to break down, and first and foremost, Maxi being a trade piece is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. If you're trading anybody, it's not going to be him. I
yes.
tell you that right now. That would be the most confident answer I would ever give to a question ever. If you ask me, is Maxi getting traded? I would very confidently tell you no. I'd put a whole house worth of money on that he would not be traded.
Hmm.
Um, Grimes and McCain backcourt. Well, I mean, I don't know that you have much else to add, but if you do, let me know. To that first part, and then we can.
Not to the first part. I'll just say what I have briefly on the
Yeah.
second part. Yeah, Maxi's no, absolutely not. He's here. Yeah. Secondly, yeah, I mean Grimes and McCain have both been great this year. I mean, obviously McCain went down. Those are the two mentioned, right? Grimes and McCain.
Yep, I like the
Um,
Grimes and McCain backcourt.
yeah, me too. I like him with Tyrese Maxey though. That's
Mhm.
all I'll say to that. I mean, I
Yeah.
think as much as like McCain was a big story early on, Grimes has been that, even though the Sixers have been,
Hmm.
struggling. Like he's been very, very good. That was a good pickup, and yeah, I like them, but um, they're not they're not Tyrese Maxey. So
No.
that-
And I mean, Grimes is a forward anyway. That's not a
yeah.
backcourt. That's just two good guards. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. Dump Paul George, have a nice rebuild with a hopefully healthy Embiid. You you can't rebuild with Embiid. It's
It's
those two
now, right?
statements counteract each other. A rebuild is a rebuild. You are going from zero, starting from the ground up. With Embiid, you're still a contender, no matter who else is next to him. If you have Joel Embiid on the floor and he's healthy, anybody you put around him, they have a chance to win. And that's just how good Embiid is. So those two statements are very contradictory. You can't have both. It's either one or the other. So again, kind of a mess of a comment all around. Really nothing, really nothing else to be said. So we're gonna go to the next one. This is something that you and I did not talk about. I don't think at any point on air or in on text or anything on messages. We didn't talk about the whole Daryl Morey AI
Hmm.
scandal. I guess that's the word we could use. This comment says, "Wait till AI tell Daryl Morey, spelled Darryl, which is the wrong spelling, to bring in a different team next season." Laughing face emoji, clown emoji. I kind of have a lot to say about this, so I'll let you go first if you have anything to add, and then I'll chime in after.
So what is he? Who's that in relation to exactly?
So this comment said, "Wait till AI tell Daryl Morey to bring in a different team next season." Because remember what happened when he was at the Sloan conference and he said they use artificial intelligence to help inform team decisions or something?
Hmm.
Did you see that?
No,
You didn't see that.
no.
Oh wow, okay. So basically, yeah, Daryl Morey was at the Sloan Business Conference, I guess mid-March. I don't know where it is, Massachusetts or something. And he was asked a question. I forget the exact prompt, but he basically said,
That's what
"Yes,
he.
we
Okay.
use artificial intelligence to help inform our team decision making." And everybody just it sent the sports world into a frenzy, into a whirlwind. Oh, how is he making decisions for a team? He's using ChatGPT, he's using AI to tell him which players to bring in. But here's my problem is people misconstrued him saying that he uses AI to help him inform team decisions as he tells, or I'm sorry, as he uses AI to tell him who to trade for in draft. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying was he uses AI models of the Sixers and of teams to help inform him of team decisions. He doesn't say, "Hey, ChatGPT,
Right. What should I do today?
tell me who to trade for. Tell me who to trade for. Tell me." He doesn't do that. He wasn't saying that he did
Right.
that. He's not saying that he does that. He's saying he uses AI models to help inform him of players that might be a good fit, that might be the best to acquire, to trade for. He doesn't say, "Okay, ChatGPT, help me build the Sixers this year." Like that's not what he
Right.
does. And so many people thought that was what he meant. And they said, "Oh, how is he? He needs to be fired. He's a GM, a president of basketball operations using AI. What? He's the worst president of basketball operations ever." That's not what he was doing. He was not,
He's
he
like
does not
Magic
do
Eight
that.
Ball.
Yeah,
Should I
exactly.
sign Paul George to a
That's what
max
people were
contract?
saying that he was doing. And he wasn't doing that. He didn't ever claim to do that. So
It's funny.
it's I don't know if people didn't actually listen to what he said or if they just hear what they want to hear because they hate Daryl Morey, but he didn't he that's not what he said. He doesn't actually do that. And if you think he actually does that, you're a moron.
I would think if if like you see that at first glance or like you're hearing of it, like myself, like um if you know anything about Daryl Morey and his track record, his history, like that doesn't come as like a huge surprise that he would use different kind of
It
resources to
shouldn't,
think
right?
through things and process and think outside the box. That's Daryl Morey's kind of MO. And so like, but I think maybe where it's getting blown out of proportion are those who know nothing about the man and yeah, go on this rabbit trail of what you're saying, which is completely untrue. So, and it's super easy to follow a narrative once one person does it. Like once one reputable source says something, everybody else is on it. So, funny stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how it all came to be the interpretation of what he said,
Right.
but all I know is that it spread like wildfire for a few days and um everybody had their own reactions to it. Mostly the same of, "Oh, I can't believe Daryl Morey uses AI to tell him what to do." It's like that's not what's happening. That's not what was happening. So I just want to clear the air there, and especially when it comes to this comment, because that's not the
Yeah.
only comment I got like
Really.
that. It was on a post about Daryl Morey, so it was fitting, obviously, but he doesn't use AI to tell him what to do. He might use AI to help inform him of possible decisions, possible
Hmm.
outcomes of certain players. It's and then the backlash of that, which is a comment I have here of Marcus Morris, former Sixer, being asked about that by Kevin O'Connor of I guess he works for the Ringer now. I don't know what he does. He's an NBA. I don't know what he is. He just talks about the NBA and
Hmm.
I don't think I ever agree with anything he ever says. He was interviewing Marcus Morris, who used to play for the Sixers. Marcus Morris said basically he doesn't trust Daryl Morey. Oh, I don't want to misquote him. So Troy, if you haven't seen it, or if the listener and viewer hasn't seen it, just go look up Kevin O'Connor, Marcus Morris, and you'll probably get very
Hmm.
quick results. But basically, then everybody was bandwagoning. "Oh, Marcus Morris, he doesn't trust Daryl Morey, so I don't trust Daryl Morey." It's like
Yeah.
some people just you just can't help people. Like you can't. Some people just see what they want to see and hear what they want to hear, and it's just like, dude. It'd be one thing. It would legitimately be one thing if Daryl Morey said, "Yeah, you know what? I built this entire Sixers team this year based on what ChatGPT told me to
Right.
do."
Right.
It'd be one thing if he genuinely said that, but he didn't say that, and people are acting like he did say that. He didn't. I would understand it, and I would
Yeah.
probably agree. If he did say that, that's a problem. But he didn't. He didn't say anything even remotely close to that. So that's all I have on that. I'm done talking about that. Um, yeah. All right. Next question. Next comment here. In regards to Daryl Morey, he has not done a great job. The PG contract was ridiculous from jump. So My main problem with this is that pretty much everybody and their mother agreed that Paul George was what the Sixers should have done. It's funny. I don't know if you remember, Troy. I actually was first against the Paul George move. So
Yeah,
if anybody can backpedal, it's me.
right.
Because I initially didn't want them to sign Paul George. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to hinder them financially, which it didn't end up doing, thankfully. And I didn't want them to do that, but it worked out really well. So saying the PG contract was ridiculous from the jump is a classic example of revisionist history because everybody wanted Paul George. Everybody wanted Daryl Morey to go after Paul George, and he did exactly that.
Hmm.
Just because it's not looking good now doesn't mean it wasn't ever good. Doesn't mean that it was a bad idea from the start. It wasn't. It ended up being a really great idea, and it just didn't pan out this year. Thankfully, we have another year and we can try again. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
all that's
think
all I got for that.
and if you wouldn't have said that, I wouldn't have remembered, but I do remember now. I
Yeah.
could we could go back and watch an old episode if we try to find it, but
Right.
yeah, I think you are your thoughts on this matter because of how poorly the season has been and because of how much there is to how many reasons there are to point a finger at Paul George. Like if anyone were to say it, it could and would be you, but with you coming to his defense and sticking by the fact that this, was a good decision and we're not going to trade him, we shouldn't trade him, all that uh, speaks a lot about the situation. So, um, as far in regard to Daryl Morey as a whole, I mean, you and I have both been in favor of much of what he's done. Um, he's crafty, thinks outside the box again, and again, I think as easy as it is to blame injuries and all of these things, and like we should, I guess, and we will, but like on paper, like this was a gem of a roster that Morey constructed, and it didn't pan out. But as you said, it didn't pan out this year, and there'd be a lot of different conversations happening right now if the Sixers were you know, sitting in the play-in 7 through 10 right now, and Joel has played 70 games, and Paul George has played 75 games, and Tyrese Maxey's played 83, 82 games, right? Like that'd be a whole different conversation if we were about 500 with this team. But that's just not the reality, and so that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it kind of, I mean, honestly, I'll just jump right to it. It kind of segues into this next
Okay.
comment. And again, I didn't send Troy any of these comments before. I don't know if he saw it
Uh-uh. I glanced at a
before.
couple, yeah,
I'm guessing no.
couple posts, I guess, but yeah.
But this next comment beautifully relates to what Troy just said. So this person says Daryl Morey again, couldn't have done a worse job for the Sixers. I said, how? In response. He replied, are you related to Morey? Is this a burner account? Sixers are one of the best teams in the league. Now they have a chance at the number one pick. Plus, he thought off some of the future. By definition, he couldn't have done worse. So let's dissect this a little bit. The Sixers were one of the best teams in the league. To Troy's point, absolutely they were.
Mhm.
Now, let's ask. I'm so hoping this person is listening. I doubt it. But let's ask ourselves, the Sixers were one of the best teams in the league. Now they have a chance at number one pick. Why? What happened? What happened? What what happened that such a drastic change occurred? Oh, I'll tell you what happened. Their best player got injured, their second best player got injured, and then their third best player got injured.
Not to mention the
If you
supporting cast.
not to right, if you ask me, that's grounds for a serious discrepancy in the beginning of the season to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, what does Daryl Morey have to do with that? I don't exactly know. Again, all fingers will point to him because he gave Paul George the contract, because he gave the Embiid extension, which is a whole other topic. Maybe we'll get into that. I don't know. Um, one of the best
Yeah.
teams in the league. Now they have a chance at number one pick. Well, yeah, because they got so seriously hurt. I mean, I can't even think of a team that was more injured than the Sixers this year.
Heck no. Absolutely not.
No. Plus, he sought off some of the future. What future did he seriously like? Troy, call me out here if I'm wrong. What future did he sell some of?
I'm not
Like,
sure.
what future did he sell?
I'm not sure what he's getting at there. I think that
Traded a couple second round picks. All
I think
right.
he kind of answered his, whatever. Like, when is he saying that we were the best team, one of the best teams in the league? Like, is he talking about,
Right.
entering into the season?
I'm
Well, then that's
assuming,
not Daryl
yeah,
Morey's fault because he obviously set us up for success, and we
right.
know it happened. Like, I mean, he shoots himself in the foot a little bit in that comment because, like, if we were truly, over last year or 3 years ago, whatever timeline he's looking at with that, when Daryl has been here, had
Mm.
us since positioned for to be one of the best teams in the league or the Eastern Conference, whatever you want to say. Um, and they are now in position for the number one pick or top pick or lottery pick. That's because of something that happened outside of our control, outside of Daryl's control, obviously, and that's injuries, right? I mean, Joel wasn't even super healthy last year, but Sixers still made the playoffs. Um, Tyrese Maxey did what he did. Paul George wasn't here, but he played over 70 games, 72 games or something last season with the Clippers. Like, that's remarkable for a guy in his mid 30s. Um, so you had reason to believe that that could happen again, and it just didn't. And let's not, like, I get that toward the end of the season, there's been guys sitting out that probably, if we were in position for a playoff run, they'd be playing. However, uh, a lot of guys have missed games. Andre Drummond's
Yeah.
missed a lot of. Kyle Lowry's missed a lot of games. Kelly Oubre's missed a lot of games. You can go down the list of our roster and say there's a reason why 96% of the payroll wasn't playing a couple weeks ago, and it's not just because those top three guys, which take up a lot of that payroll, but supporting cast hasn't been playing either. It's injuries. It's unfortunate. We bounce back, hopefully.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna try and make this the last Daryl Morey comment. I just feel as though there's a lot of misconceptions about him and his intentions with the roster and the franchise. This person says still managed to give two of the five worst contracts in the league. Seems like a very subjective statement because way more than you could say there's way more contracts worse than Embiid and Paul George. In fact, I would argue that, like, all bias aside, I don't know that they're actually two of the five worst contracts in the league.
Yeah,
If they're even that bad, I just really feel like people are overblowing the severity of these contracts, especially in Embiid. And my response was, how is Embiid a bad contract? You're supposed to give him a contract no matter what. This isn't a discussion. I just really feel like there isn't a world where you
yeah,
can justify not extending him. Sure, the injuries are concerning, but you take the risk. He's a generational talent. You take any risks that are associated with giving him a contract extension. I just cannot understand
yeah.
possibly letting him walk while he's still maybe not at the top, like at his absolute peak, but we're talking he would have had what, a year or two left on his contract,
hmm
I think. At 32, 33, while he still has so much left to give, you're gonna just let him go for what? At, at the very least, keep him under contract, and then maybe you could trade him if he wants to leave or whatever. If things are really that bad, you could trade him. You do not let him walk for nothing. It's just really ridiculous. I don't
Yeah,
care how sour of a feeling he's left everyone because of the injuries and because of his questionable leadership to start the season. Whatever. I don't care. He's he, he's an amazing player and he's done so much for this team, for this city. You don't just let him walk because you're upset. And I am so glad that the people in my Instagram comment section are not the people running the 76ers because we would be in severe deep water with
I
this. This would not be good.
love that.
So
I love that.
I am very thankful that none of you run this team. I'm thankful I don't run the team. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
Mm-mm, me either.
Um, how much time do we got left?
6, 7 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay, let's try and get one more comment. Um, gonna find something like really
Find a
ridiculous.
gold one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
I don't even have
Um,
anything else to say on that Embiid, man.
yeah,
It's Joel Embiid. Enough said. He's
it's
here.
Joel Embiid.
Keep him here.
Um,
And by the way, I guess I do have something else to say. There's a
oh,
risk with every NBA player.
of course,
Joel Embiid's always,
that's
yeah, maybe he's
that's a
hurt more than
given,
some other guys, but like you don't know who's going to come in. Again, Paul George, he's
right?
had a couple major injuries in his career, but not last season. Came in extremely healthy to Philadelphia, and look what happened.
Right,
It just happens.
right.
Risk involved
Mm.
everywhere.
Um, let's see.
Hmm.
Okay, this person says in regards to Joel Embiid, outside of the one MVP, what has he done? And that was a fatigue MVP because Joker was still the best and most valuable player. So the thing about the MVP is that people always want to argue like, oh, he shouldn't have won that MVP. Well, he did. Like you're living in fantasy, we're living in reality.
Yeah,
So
he did.
what do you think is
Period.
gonna win here? People always say, "Oh, Embiid, he cried for that MVP." It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter because he hasn't. He got it. He won the MVP.
Yep.
So there's no sense in bringing it up. You can't rewrite the past. He won the MVP. This person says, "What has he done?" Well, two-time scoring champ. Um, I mean, multi-time All NBA, All Star, All Defensive Player. Um,
You don't need anything else.
I think I mean led the league in scoring. Hold on, I gotta double check. I should have had this up. Two-time scoring champ. Let's see this. Scoring leaders by year. Here we go. Okay. Um, yeah, well actually that's the same exact thing. Led the league in scoring twice in a row, 33 points per game in 2022. 31 in 2021. So what has he done? I mean, individually, there's that. For the Sixers, I mean, every single season he's put his body on the line to. I feel like I just say this all the time. Every single season he puts his body on the line to help this team win basketball games, and he gives up his health, his longevity, perhaps, in order to help this team win games. Um, there are so many people that don't appreciate Embiid because they all they see is transactional, like, oh, well, he hasn't done this, or this lately, so it's like, what is he really? What is he? How good could he be? How much am I? But no, Embiid has given up so much for the city, for this team. And I'm sorry, but if you can't see that, I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just a dude who got here 2 years ago. He's been here almost 10 years. So to say that he hasn't done anything else than the MVP is totally discrediting his entire tenure as a Sixer.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I've always kind of thought this, I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but like I am so much more impressed by like if you look at and I truly think I mean this. I don't know if you've ever heard anybody say this. When you look at anybody's NBA career, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, always so impressed by like a guy that's made an all NBA team 10, 11, 9, whatever, however many times versus like one MVP season.
Yeah,
Because like that speaks to you didn't just have 1 year.
sure.
And Joel
Hmm.
Embiid's not a 1 year guy. He's been one of the premier players in the NBA for multiple years. And, when you look at the end of his career, let's say he finishes with one MVP, but he's going to have a lot of other accolades, such as ones that you mentioned, scoring champ and um,
It's like,
first team, second team, third team All NBA. That's
yeah,
massive. That's massive.
five-time All NBA, three-time All Defensive Team, seven-time All Star.
Right.
Like,
5-time All NBA. Like, let's look at that
yeah,
one, right? Let's comment that one
yeah.
back. You know what I mean?
And I think one or two of those were All NBA first team.
Yeah.
Like everybody loves All NBA first team. Joel Embiid did it a couple times.
Yep.
So actually, I think he only did it once. But either way, it's I don't know.
It's
I'm
impressive.
not. I'm not. The people who feel the way they do about Embiid, they're not going to change their minds, and I'm not going to change my mind about Embiid. So everybody always says, "Oh, what are you, Embiid's burner?" Or "Oh." I've gotten comments of like, "Oh, what are the Sixers paying you to post this?" Like, dude, stop. Just
I
stop.
wish.
I wish, right? Daryl Morey's paying you to post this? No. It's there's so many people that follow my page, but they just started following me like 2 weeks ago, and they have no idea that I've been doing this for 6 years, and this
Yeah,
is really what I think and how I feel.
yeah. They're joining at a very interesting time. We'll say that.
Yeah, got that right.
All right, give me one more. Give me one more.
Um,
The clock's about to strike.
we have a minute. I just closed out of my Instagram. Let me see if I can find one more in my screenshots. This must be his burner account. No. Uh, yeah, I mean, another Daryl comment, I guess, but he treats players like they're pawns in a chess game.
Yeah,
It's not. It's just it's a business, man. It's he's trying to make the best business decision for the franchise to help them win. That's
yeah,
what he's supposed to do.
yeah. You follow other NBA franchises closely. It's not like they're doing things a whole lot different.
Right.
Things are just heightened this year. Everything's heightened. Like I'll
That's a
end
good
with this.
point.
Everything's so heightened because of
That's a good
how
point.
much of an anomaly this season has been because of how disappointing. And we said this last time we recorded, and I fully believe this too. Like this season is the most disappointing in such a long time. Not because the Sixers have the worst team they've had in a long time, but because the
Yeah.
expectations were so high, and here we are.
Everything's magnified now.
Yeah. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.